So very good morning children. Today we are going to learn class 10th science and this is module number 6. So in module number 5 we learned the first part of chapter 14, sources of energy, and we discussed about conventional sources of energy that we are using right now. And this is module number 6, so we are going to learn the second part of the chapter, that is non-conventional sources of energy. Which are not being used at large scale. So nowadays this non-conventional source of energy is also speeding up. And the question is, why do we need the non-conventional source of energy, the alternative source of energy? We have a lot of other sources. Why we need non-conventional sources? Number one is the demand of energy is increasing. So we need more energy sources, more alternate sources. And the demand of energy is increasing due to increase in the living standards. We need more industries, more modern equipments which run by electricity, and so due to our living standard, high living standards, and the demand of energy is increasing due to increasing population, increasing industrialization, and also it is due to the depletion of the conventional source of energy. The conventional source of energy are being depleted and they are not renewable. So someday they will exhaust, someday they will finish. So हमें नया सोर्सेस का जरूरत पड़ेगा. सो हम कुछ नया सोर्सेस की बारे में देखते हैं जो कन्वेंशनल नहीं है. हम कुछ नए सोर्सेस के बारे में देखते हैं जो कन्वेंशनल नहीं है, नॉन कन्वेंशनल है, लेकिन आजकल वो कन्वेंशनल होते जा रहा है. मतलब लोग इसके इस्तेमाल करना शुरू कर दिया है. सो द नंबर वन इज द सोलर एनर्जी. You know the 50% of the solar energy, the solar energy, whatever the amount which reaches the earth, the outer atmosphere of the earth, the 50% of that solar energy get absorbed by the atmosphere. Nearly 50%, and other 50% reaches the surface of the earth. And then this energy is utilized by plants, to produce fruits or whatever we need, cereals and whatever, vegetables. So, what about the other devices which trap this energy? So, number one we are going to discuss, that is solar cooker. So we know solar cooker, there's a diagram given in your textbook, like a box. With a lid and which has a concave mirror. concave mirror. And then it has a sheet over here, a plain sheet, a glass sheet. And this box, the inside of the box is blackened. So we can say that the black color, it absorbs more heat energy, and the concave mirror, it focuses a lot of rays into this, lot of rays into this cooker which is placed over here inside this box, या the utensil और जो vessel इसके अंदर रखा है और खाना पकाने के लिए. So and then we have a glass sheet. और ये glass sheet क्या करता है कि जो लाइट अंदर जाते हैं infrared rays को वो वहाँ बाहर निकलने नहीं देता और रोकते हैं. So which produce greenhouse effect, और greenhouse effect की वजह से इसके अंदर ज़्यादा temperature हो जाती है. So it has a blackened surface which absorbs more heat. It has a concave mirror which focus more sun rays into it, and it has a glass sheet which produces greenhouse effect, and which in turn enhances the temperature inside, which helps for the solar cooker to acquire the required temperature for cooking. And we have even solar water heaters, and the pipelines and the solar water heaters and the pipelines are blackened so that it will absorb more heat. And now even the over tanks in the summer season, we know that the tanks gets heated, into the water gets heated, but in the winter we require hot water. So you have to modify the setup so that the water gets heated very easily. And another thing is, what about the limitations of this solar cooker? During the daytime only we can operate it, and that's also at particular time of the day. So not every time we can operate it when that is a lot of sun rays coming with much intensity. Then only the solar cooker will work, maybe in the noon time. But instead of this solar cooker, we have now a very largely used device which is solar cell. So we are going to learn in detail about solar cell. So under solar energy, the first device is solar cooker, and the second device that we are learning is solar cell. The first device is solar cooker, and the second device is solar cell. And the solar cell is mainly made of silicon or germanium. So it is mainly made of silicon, which is a metalloid, semiconductor, which is a semiconductor. So this solar cell, one cell can generate almost up to 0.5 to 1 volt of electricity potential difference, and almost 0.7 watt of electrical energy. It's a very small energy, small amount of energy. So large amount of energy कैसे obtain हो सकता है? By interconnecting these cells together in a very big solar panel. And this solar panel, so they are interconnected by silver. Silver is used for interconnecting the solar cells. So it makes it a little bit costly, even though this silicon, a semiconductor which is abundantly available in nature, but still it is costly. The solar panels are very costly and less efficient, but it produces a lot of energy. What are the advantages of the solar cell? They don't have any moving parts like turbine or windmills or whatever. So they require less maintenance. Less maintenance. उसका रखरखाव का जो कॉस्ट है वो बहुत कम है, and can be used even in remote places, remote villages, remote hilly areas, whatever, जहां पर पहुंचना, लोगों को पहुंचना या बड़े ट्रक्स को पहुंचना कन्वेंस नहीं है, और ऐसी जगह पर भी आप इस सोलर सेल को लगा सकते हैं, सोलर पैनल्स को लगा सकते हैं. And silicon is an abundant, which is used for making the solar cell. It is abundant in nature. It is abundantly found. And what about the disadvantages? Disadvantages is it is expensive and less efficient, because a lot of energy is wasted. A very less energy is absorbed by the solar cells. The next is its uses. It is mainly used to produce electricity, but this electricity is mainly used in artificial satellites because they require continuous power. Space probes and many scientific researches it is being used, and then radio, wireless communication, and TV relay system in remote places, because in remote places you don't have proper electricity, so we can generate electricity from the solar cell. And traffic signals, toys, and many other things. Nowadays solar panels are even used at home and for many industries to produce electricity to run their machines, run ACs and all. Even calculators, lot of things. Solar calculators are there. So that's all about solar cell. So solar energy is actually a very good non-conventional source of energy with less pollution or no pollution at all. But the devices which make use of this, when they are made in the industries, they may cause pollution up to some extent. So the second one is tidal energy. What is tidal energy? What is a tide actually? When the moon is revolving around the earth, the spinning earth, so there is a gravitational pull, the gravitational attraction between moon and the earth. So the gravitational pull on spinning earth, because when it is spinning, one part of the earth is not always towards the moon. So when the sea is towards the moon, then the water is get attracted, the level of the water rises. When the sea is away from the moon, then the level falls. So there is a high level and a low level in the sea sometimes at different times of the day. So that is called high tide and low tide. So it is harnessed by making dams in, so where there is a narrow opening, so dams are being built, and then generators are used. When there is a high tide, the water flows in to the narrow opening, and when there is a low tide, the water flows out, so, and which helps in rotating the turbines. So that is actually the tidal energies. And limitation is very less viable, commercially viable sites are there uh, in order to exploit this tidal energy. And the third one is wave energy. And we know that the waves, there are continuous waves due to sea breeze or land breeze, due to storms or cyclones, whatever. So in the sea there is continuous waves, and the waves uh, carries a lot of kinetic energy with it. So it is exploited by many devices and which uses turbines and produce electricity. Again, and we have very limited sites which give continuous this wave energy. And the fourth one is ocean thermal energy. What do you mean by ocean thermal energy? Thermal means something related to temperature. So in the ocean and the sea, due to sunlight, the upper part is more hot and the lower part is relatively cold. So अगर 2 किलोमीटर की डिफरेंस में, गहराई में अगर 20 डिग्री सेल्सियस का डिफरेंस अगर आ रहा है, then so if here is hot and here it is cold, and we can use ammonia like liquid which gets heated and which get boils at this temperature in the hot region, and then it becomes vapor and rotates turbine, and we can pump that ammonia into the cold region, then it will become again liquid, and the liquid gets heated again and goes to the turbine and rotates the turbines and loses its kinetic energy, so it can generate electricity. The next is geothermal energy. So as we go down the earth, the temperature rises, we know. Even in the interior of the earth, we know it is in the form of lava, liquid, very hot. But you have to go very deep. But there are some places you don't have to go very deep. Water is trapped and hot springs are there. In Americas, there are a lot of such sites where hot springs are there. So steam trapped in rocks is routed through pipe to turbine to generate electricity. And here again the limitation is actually very few commercially viable sites are available. And the next one is nuclear energy. So the last source of energy we are discussing under the non-conventional source of energy, nuclear energy. And this is a very tremendous source of energy. Some heavy atom like uranium, plutonium, when they are bombarded with slow moving neutrons, fast moving neutrons may escape. So low energy or slow moving neutrons get bombarded, when they hit with these atoms, then the atoms, nuclei of the atoms, then the nuclei split into two daughter nuclei, releasing tremendous energy, heat energy. And this release energy is used to produce steam and further generate electricity. So what is advantage or disadvantages? Advantage is a lot of energy is created from a very small fuel, small amount of fuel. But the disadvantage is it is the nuclear reactors which produces nuclear energy is actually at risk, because if there is a leakage, then a lot of radiation, which are the byproduct of this chain reactions, atomic fission reaction, we call it an atomic fission reaction because a nuclei divides into two smaller nuclei or two or more smaller nuclei. So the nuclear energy, the nuclear reactors uses atomic fission reaction in order to produce a lot of heat energy, which can be helpful in creating steam. But during this reaction, the chain reaction or atomic fission reaction, a lot of you know uh, harmful radiations are produced, like gamma radiations, and these radiations can cause cancer, can uh, kill your cells, or can manipulate the gene even. So it's very dangerous radiations. So very lot of precautions are there to make such a plant, so that radiations will not get leaked. तो एक तो रेडिएशन से खतरा है, और दूसरा न्यूक्लियर वेस्ट जो है, जो फ्यूल खत्म हो गया, जो फ्यूल कन्वर्ट हो गया, स्प्लिट हो गया, और वो अभी स्टिल रेडियो एक्टिव है और उसमें से रेडिएशन अभी भी निकलते रहता है, तो उसको सही तरीके से डंप करना, एंड दैट इज अनदर important job in this. So these are the disadvantage. So the nuclear waste is still radioactive and it is producing radiations, and the leakage, these are the two disadvantage of this. And nowadays we have another scope, another part of this nuclear energy is nuclear fusion reaction. Hydrogen, the isotopes of hydrogen like protium, deuterium, tritium, they can be joined to form helium. So when they are fused to form helium, lot of energy is released, and there is no radiations, and there is no problem with the nuclei which is formed there. So that is a very safe energy, but the problem is to fuse these things, we require a very high temperature, and a very high temperature can be acquired only by a nuclear fission reaction. And in the first, it was actually, this nuclear energy was used for devastating, for making atom bombs and all, hydrogen bombs. But nowadays it is harnessed in nuclear reactors. The controlled chain reaction happens there. Uranium splits into doped nuclei and release a lot of energy by a slow moving neutron, and this reaction creates a lot of other neutrons, which again go and hit the other uranium atoms, and it's a chain reaction, it goes on. And there are nuclear reactors which produces electricity by this method. So as a conclusion, we have two types of energy, like conventional source of energy and non-conventional source of energy. And we require this non-conventional source of energy for a better future, because population is increasing and our living standards are increasing, becoming high and high, and we require energy. So we need a lot more sources of energy which are environment friendly, and which are safe, which does not cause pollution, and which is easily accessible, which is not so costly. So we have to choose renewable resources of energy for a better future. So that's all about this chapter, and I have given you already in the last module few questions on the part 1, and this is part 2. So in this also I am giving you a few questions to do and answer it. Write in your corpus, and also you can answer the blueprint question and exercise at the end. So these are the homework for you: blueprint question, exercise at the end. And the extra questions that I am giving you. So try to answer. So these are the two chapters which will come in your first periodical examination. The chapter 10, light, we have covered it in 4 modules, and chapter 14, source of energy, we have covered it in 2 modules. So total 6 modules we have learned so far for the first periodical examination. So go through this all modules repeatedly and understand the lessons thoroughly and learn the question and the answers.